Welcome everybody to the Second Chance podcast, where we're going to discuss, relationships, marriage, friendships, just the whole family unit, in the world and in the kingdom. How you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. So I'm Robert Bligent and
I'm Viva Bligent.
Yeah, so we've been married now for a little over a year and a half. And we met at some friend's wedding. That would have been March of 2022, March 10th. We met at that wedding, and I've never left her side ever since.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Never left my side. So how does it feel to be married?
It's amazing. For me, marriage is it's an amazing thing, especially if you put in the work, done the work on yourself, so that when you meet that other person, you're ready and you can bend, because two people becoming one is a process. From a spiritual standpoint, it happens spiritually, but then from a physical standpoint, it takes time, because I might like to leave my clothes on the side of the floor, or I may not, do something that irritates her, and vice versa. It could go either way. And so that process of becoming one, it takes a little time. And what it does, why people think their spouse changes, is because marriage is a big mirror. So it exposes who you are, it exposes your weaknesses, it exposes any little character flaws that you have. It's going to bring it up to the forefront. You know what I'm saying? It's like turning on a pot of hot water. You know what I'm saying? It's going to bring it right on up to the top. And so now you have to address these things. And that's usually where people be like, oh, well, you changed, because they don't want to do the work. So, yeah.
I heard you say bend.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you've bent?
How did I bend? Let's see. Not a lot of bend. I've done some bending. We did Colombia for a little while. That was a bend.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That was a bend. So we stayed in Colombia.
That was a bend.
That was a very serious bend. So we did that, and now we're back here. So you bent, coming back here. You know what I'm saying? So definitely it's an ebb and flow. So yeah, ebb and flow. Yeah. So yeah. So how was all right. So let's talk about marriage and what do you think you learned from previous relationships that you were able to bring?
We got all day?
Yeah, we got some time.
We got some time?
Yeah, the people want to know.
I learned, when you're younger, you want everything your way. It's my way. I'm right. I'm always right. And you could be a little selfish.
Okay.
Right? So I think one of the things that I carried with me into this marriage was learning how to die daily to self. Hence the reason, and I think you loved it, a lot of other people weren't happy about it. Hence the reason when we got married, we wore what color?
Black.
We wore black.
Yeah.
For me, it was a symbolism of dying to me, since two become one. And I didn't want to bring all of my mindsets and all of my experiences that I experienced in previous marriages, or my thought processes, into this marriage, because that one's going to work, right? We two totally different people. The person I was married to before is not you. And so I wanted to come in and just be able to have something from a healthy perspective. Like, I wanted a healthy marriage. So I had to do the work on me. Before even, and the truth of the matter is, and we'll probably talk about that a little later, I wasn't even looking to get married again. I was like, I'm done, it's over, it's out. I'm about to go out here and live my best life, right? But I'm grateful. I'm grateful that you came into my life. And I'm grateful that it's given me the opportunity to grow. Like every day is a growth session for me. You know, it's not always pretty. I don't always like it, but I do like my life with you. That never changes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like that. For me, you know, I got married at 24. So at 24, so with that being said, I didn't even know who I was really. Yeah. So I thought I did, but I didn't know who I was. So, you know, I have this theory that I think people evolve, you know, every day, you know, but you see the manifestation of that evolution about every 3 years. So if a person got married at 24, who they are at 27 is different from who they were at 24. Then when you become 30, it's different from when you were 27. And so you see this manifestation of a new person. So within that time frame, you could have been married to 3 entirely different people in that time frame. Yeah. Right? From 24 to 30, you that's 3 different people. You know what I'm saying? Because the needs of this 24-year-old and the wants of that versus the needs of this 30-year-old or this 27-year-old is totally different. So if that holds true for one part of the marriage, then it holds true for the other. You know, for one spouse, and it's gonna be for the other. And so now both gotta learn to adjust. You know what I'm saying? Both have to adjust. So that's one thing I learned from previous relationship or previous marriage, what have you. And then the other thing that I learned was communication. And involving your wife in your decisions. So, for example, there was this car that I wanted, and I saw the car, and I bought it. And I just came home with it. And so, yeah, so I learned that that's not the best way to do things, right? And so by the time, you know, I'd, you know, done some counseling, done therapy, did a lot of work on myself, I realized that, okay, you can't keep doing the same thing and expect different results. So, you know, so I saw how it affected the previous relationship, and I said, okay, well, you definitely can't keep doing that because we know how that story ends. So now you and I, we communicate. I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? And then I hear your point, and we come to some type of agreement before I just actually step out and do something. Yeah. So that's something that it's way more than that, but that's something.
I like how you talk about the communication because, communication wasn't really my strong point either. Mm-hmm. I communicated. Mm-hmm. I communicated heavily, but it wasn't healthy communication. Okay. Right? My communication was, oh, so you think you could do such and such? Okay, well, I'll show you. My communication was, okay, you hurt me, so let me communicate verbally to you from a hurt place, you know, or yelling at the top of my lungs, or another line of communication for me was if the conversation got to a point and I didn't like what I heard, then I would shut down and just not communicate at all. And that is still a form of communication.
It is.
So when I rally all that up, and as you were talking, I was sitting adding all this up. I was like, dang, do you know we have like 37 years of marriage between the two of us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a long time.
Right.
It's a long time.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
To sit and think, okay, what do I not do again?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And what can I do better this time around? Yeah. And that was something, you know, I figured out, okay, in all of my past relationships, the common denominator was me. Wow. Right? So, that's deep. Yeah, I'm the common denominator in this. So, you know, everybody can't be wrong. Everybody can't be crazy, right? so I had to have a little some part in that, you know, and how things work. So, you know, so with that being said, you know, I just decided I got to do some work on myself, and so I
I read a lot of books, whether it was the 5 Love Languages. Um, oh man, 5 Love Languages, Purpose Driven Life. A lot of those books like that kind of help you get through, relationships. How to win friends, influence people, just to learn to communicate, effectively. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff. And I saw this program, and something I learned after watching this documentary was real interesting. It was basically they said that in the past, when society was an agricultural society, the sons and the daughters got to see the husband and wife interact day by day, right? So they were working as agriculture, so it's a farming society. Everybody on the farm, mom, dad, daughter, son on the farm. The children get to see how the husband treats the wife and vice versa, and they get to see what the family unit looks like. They get to see it every day, modeled every day. Then the industrial age came, and so now dad drives an hour into the city and an hour back. So now that's where the breakdown of the family began, because he's driving an hour into the city, he leaves in the dark, when he comes back home it's dark. Kids are asleep or about to go to sleep. They don't have that interaction. They don't see that family unit. Wow. Except for on the weekends.
Wow.
So that's how I grew up. So my dad worked. He was in the house, but he was at work. So when I would go to school in the morning, he was in bed. When he would go to work, I was in school. When I come home from school, he's at work. When he comes home from work, I'm in bed. So I only saw my dad on Saturday and Sunday, even though he lived in the house. Wow. You know what I'm saying? We only interacted, then, unless I needed money for a field trip or something, right? So, and that's, we talking about when I grew up, so that's not even that far ago. So put that in perspective, right? So now, after that, you had the war. And when you had the war, then the women had to go outside of the home because the husband was at war. Women went into the factories. So they're doing everything at the factories. So that's when the fast food came up. So that's when KFC and McDonald's and all of that came into play. So now the kids get to see what I would say is a three-legged stool, right? Because you don't have the father figure in the house now. So they see it, you know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna say a dysfunctional family, I'll just say a three-legged stool.
Right.
All right. So then dad comes home from the war. Now him and mom button heads now, because she was like, you ain't finna come in here changing stuff and because I've been running this house for a year and a half and and so now he feels out of place in their home. The children see this back and forthness, and so on and so forth. And so that's kind of what we're up against. You know what I'm saying? And we're not even gonna mention slavery and how, husbands were ripped from wives were ripped from husbands, children were ripped from families. So, but that's way before all of the other stuff I was talking about. Right. But that too has an effect on the family. So now we're in this era where everybody's obsessed with 50-50 or men should pay all the bills or half, or that's like the thing. And I think what's happened is that narrative is destroying the family unit, destroying the community, the black community. You really don't see that debate amongst other cultures. I don't see it. But
I'm trying to recall. I don't think I've seen it.
You really don't see it. Unless it's behind closed doors, you don't see that. But every time you see some people with a microphone and a camera, it's who gonna pay all the bills, 50-50, or men should pay all the bills, or ... whatever the case may be. And I think that's been the thing that's, people are so focused on that they're not focused on the family unit. They're not focused on community. They're not focused on being a people. You know what I'm saying? They're not focused on that. And that's a missing piece. It's a missing piece.
So you talked about, you shared some of your experiences as a child with your dad in the home, right? How do you feel like that affected you just moving forward as a husband?
Okay. I think A couple of things. One thing is my dad made sure that he took us on a vacation every summer. So that was important to me. So as a husband, I was like, all right, we're going somewhere every summer.
Right.
And if I can squeeze a few more trips in, be going some other places throughout the year, but for sure, somewhere every summer. So that was one thing. But I also inherited the work ethic of always being at work. And so I was working, missing cheerleading competitions, missing band competitions, missing this, missing that, because how men love is through what we do for you, right? So, hey, when you open the refrigerator, there's food in there. When you turn on light switch, lights turn on, there's clothes on your back. That means I love you.
So provision.
Right, provision is equivalent to love for most men.
Okay.
And so children don't register that because they would rather just have the dad at the house,
right,
more so than, the coat or the shoes or the this or the that, And so they're like, they want love, this, that, your presence. And so, I kind of got that because that's what was modeled in front of me when I was a kid. He was at work. And so I just picked that up, that work ethic. And, but, being a provider, I understood that part, but I didn't quite understand how to connect.
Oh, that's so good and profound. That's so good.
Yeah.
Because when I think about, thank you for sharing, because when I think about me growing up, I didn't have a father in the home at all.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
I did have my grandfather for an extended period of time. But he was a pastor. He was doing his thing. Mm-hmm. And then in the middle age, probably about 11, then I was in foster homes. So here I am, and every last one of my foster mothers, except for one, were all single. And the one that was married, unfortunately, she was going through a divorce. So I had to move out of that house.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow.
So all I saw was all of these strong, independent Black women. I am woman, hear me roar, type thing. So I'm like, well, that's what we're supposed to do.
Right.
So I never saw the dynamic of a husband and a wife in a setting, in a healthy setting. I'll say that. Like I saw some settings, like with some other relatives. I saw some abusive relationships. I saw just a whole bunch of stuff. Like as an adult now, I know there was nothing healthy about that. And I even knew as a kid,
right,
okay, something's not healthy about that. That just don't seem right.
Right.
So I never saw that. So for me, it was, how much do you trust man? So I had trust issues. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't, you were talking about providing and, all of that stuff. It was like, you're not here, so I don't expect for you to provide for me. I'll take care of myself. I don't expect for you to be here, so I'll make sure that I do what I need to do for me. I don't expect this, or this from you, right? And then if you do it, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like, because I don't trust you. And so that was my mindset for a long time. Now, I will say now, other relationships, they did the things that I expected them to do.
Yeah.
But I mean, and nothing against them, at all. That's water up under the bridge. But it was hard for me to come into a relationship that was healthy without doing the work. So the work had to be done. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Because it wasn't gonna work if the work didn't get done.
Hey.
Listen.
Yeah. I can honestly say you got a great version of me. You got a much better version of me.
I know you got a much better version of me.
Much better version of me than 2 years before.
Yeah.
Much better version. A much better version. Yeah. Yeah. I think, well, I will just say it. There's an attack on marriage. There's an attack on the family unit. You know what I'm saying? So, I try to encourage people in the barbershop, you know, when I'm cutting hair, I try to encourage them, hey, you know, marriage is a beautiful thing. You know, I talk about you know, talk about my wife, how, you know, how great things are going. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So I talk about, you know, how good things are and, you know, whatever, different things. I'll just say something, you know, some good thing that happened throughout that week, throughout that day or whatever, just to let them know that it's not, the narrative is someone comes in, hey, I'm about to get married. Oh man, why are you doing that? You know, why you gonna do that? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? The ball and chain, this, that, and the third.
It's always a negative.
Yeah, that's the narrative.
Yeah.
And so it's like, what do you do? How do you combat that narrative other than, you know, shine some light on some positive aspects of it? So that's what I try to, you know, mention positive things, what's happened or how my life has improved or changed for the better, you know, since marrying you or what have you. So, yeah.
Well, thank you, Boo. I appreciate that. You were talking about that, and I was thinking about one of the things that has helped me as well is my tribe.
Okay.
For me, a majority of my friends are married, and the years range from, you know. And the thing that I love is we have the relationship where we could be so open and honest with one another. And I think in other marriages, I didn't have that. Or in other marriage, you know, my tribe saw things that I did not see, because, you know, when you're in it, you don't see it until you come out. Yeah. But for the most part, what I love about where I am now, or the space that I'm in, is not only if I'm wrong, you know, they're going to check me. Okay. But not only are they going to check me, they're going to also cover me in prayer too. So it's not like I'm going to check her and then go and put her business out in the street. Right. You know what I'm saying? And keeping myself surrounded by like-minded women has been so beneficial and so helpful, because we're able to support one another as we navigate through marriage, or as we navigate through whatever we're dealing with individually that's not even about the marriage, but because we're dealing with it individually, it may affect the marriage.
Well, that's good.
You know what I'm saying? So it may not be that I have an issue with you. It could be I'm dealing with some things on my own. I could be dealing with a health issue. I could be dealing with, you know, that type thing. And then it may come across as my issue is with you, but it's not even that. The underlying issue is I'm dealing with a health issue or whatever that, you know. Right. So the thing that I love about the tribe that God has blessed me with is the love that they have for me, but the fact that they're willing, that we have such a relationship that we're willing to check one another in love. It's never a negative thing. I remember one time when we first got married, and somebody, and they're not a part of my tribe, but they were like, is the honeymoon over yet? What do you mean is the honeymoon over? It's like some people sit and wait for your demise because they don't want it to happen. And I think that's one of the reasons when we were dating, and I know it drove you crazy. I was like, I don't want nobody to know. I don't post nothing. Because I didn't want anyone in my inbox about you, and I didn't want anybody in your inbox about me, you know? Yeah. Because sometimes when you start hearing all that noise and stuff in your ear, it starts making you look at your gift as if though it's not a gift. Yeah. Yeah. You know? And so I was like, it's nobody's business except for the people whose business I want it to be. That's real. That's real. You know? That's real. And I think that was one of the best things that worked for us. For me, I think that's one of the best things that worked for us, because no one was in our business. Right. No one was able to come and say anything, which we already knew. Right. Like, we had those conversations, but we came out with a bam. Yeah. After it happened, because you weren't playing about that. Like, no, I'm not going. I was like, okay. Right.
So to put this in context, we met March 10th, 2022. We got married December 31st, 2022. Yep. We didn't post one picture of us together until after the wedding, which was, like I said,
9 months later.
December 31st, about 10 o'clock that night. I think we posted the first picture at midnight. When New Year's, Happy New Year, all that, we dropped the picture. And so that's the first time people actually realized that we were a couple or an item or anything of that nature.
They didn't even know.
They didn't even know, you know, and that's good, you know, that's good. Not, we weren't necessarily hiding it, but it was like, let's, you know, let's get to know each other. Let's you know, vet each other, you know, see if we, you know, really like each other, see if it's, you know, if it's a God thing, and then come out with it. And so that's just the way we chose to go, you know. So it worked for us though. For us. Yeah.
It did.
I'm glad we did it that way.
I am. I'm glad we did it. It was a piece. It was just something about being able to enjoy the innocence of a new relationship without having to worry about any negative stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the people who needed to know knew.
Right.
And that's all that mattered. To me, that was just all that mattered. Like I didn't owe anything else to anybody else.
I know that's right.
Well, you already know. I didn't owe anybody anything else.
Right.
So the people who, you know, who needed to know knew, and they poured into us.
Right.
That entire 9 months.
They did.
Did we not have a tribe?
Yes, we did. Matter of fact, so we did counseling leading up to the wedding, couple of months. You know, every 2 weeks for a few months, and then after, we did counseling for some more months. You know, after you said I do, because then again, you got two people becoming one, and you know, my way is my way, her way is her way, and we got to find a happy medium here that works for everybody, right? And so, therapy gives you the tools to get through that, to navigate that, you know, of the becoming one. You know what I'm saying? So, so that's, I highly recommend. Okay, I recommend counseling,
Come on, boy.
premarital counseling, and then I recommend postmarital. Right after you get married, go ahead, get right back in there, because now
not because there's a problem.
Not because there's a problem.
Nope.
Preventive maintenance. Preventive maintenance.
We got to get our oil change in the car.
Yeah, you got to get an oil change. For you basketball fans, LeBron got a coach. Kobe got a coach, or had a coach when he was alive. You know what I'm saying? All of these guys have a coach. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady got a coach. Serena Williams had a coach. So coaches are necessary. You need someone that can see you from a different perspective, from a different angle, you know, so they can see, all right, what are my shortcomings? Or, okay, well, you could have pivoted here, you could have did this, or you could have communicated that way, or you didn't have to speak here, you bring your voice down here, you know, to communicate with that person and not put them on the defensive. So these are the kind of things that you learn in counseling. So
you said, as soon as you said that, I started thinking about the communication. My spiritual mother told me, you remember, even at the wedding, and people always ask us, do y'all ever argue?
No, we don't.
Nope. We don't argue.
No.
We don't yell. We don't. Now we have some conversations.
Yeah, we had disagreements.
Now we have disagreements now. We have some conversations.
Yeah.
But we've never raised our voice at one another. We've never yelled. We've never belittled. We've never demeaned. But we've had some conversations.
Yeah.
And some conversations we left out and said, okay, let's agree to disagree.
Right. I'm glad you said that. So, because we at this chapter of our lives, we understand what we like and what we don't like.
Right.
We know what we want and what we don't want. You know, so in the beginning, we put some ground rules in place. And one of them was, I would rather not be yelled at. So I don't want no one yelling at me. I'm not gonna yell at you. And so I said that at the beginning. I said, hey, you know, the quickest way to get me to tune out is to start yelling at me. And I don't hear nothing else. So I communicated that, and then she communicated to me as well that she doesn't like to be yelled at. So we agreed, we not gonna carry our voice past, you know, we're not gonna do that. And we've been able to walk that out. And so what I will tell you, the audience, or what I will share with you is, you can't hold somebody accountable for something you never communicated to them.
You better come on.
You know, so if this is an issue and you didn't communicate that it's an issue and they doing it, now you over there mad and they don't know why, you know, drawing back and, you know, just distant and all of that, because you have to communicate with people. You got to communicate what's important what you need, what you don't need, what you want, what you don't want, and then give the person the opportunity to at least try. And then, you know, be patient with them and work with them, you know, and you know, if you work together, I think you can do your thing. So what we got from the audience? What do we have from the
Let's see.
From the viewers?
We have some questions.
We got some questions over here.
Yep. Oh.
What we got?
What does Rob appreciate most about Viva?
Wow. I appreciate your presence first. I appreciate your willingness to just you are a team player in the sense that you don't mind working in the background and make something happen. You don't mind working in the background. You don't have to necessarily be in the front, you know, but you don't mind just stepping in and helping. Hey, where you need help at? And so I definitely appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that you make me take care of myself or take time to take care of myself, whether that's physicals, whether that's whatever, doctor appointments, dental appointments, you know, taking time to rest. Before I was just focused on work, and so she brought some balance to me. You know what I'm saying? So that's some of the things. Way more than that, but those are some things. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
We kind of talked about. She asked, "How do we handle conflict?" We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, we talk about it. Matter of fact, we do our check-ins, you know, at least once a week. Of course, we talk about stuff throughout the week, but definitely, hey, you know, how did I show up for you today? She loves to ask me that one. You know, how did I show up for you this week? How could I be a better wife? Better, you know, how could I? She asked me these questions, and so that's the opportunity for me to be like, well, I didn't like it when you said this, or the tone you said it in, or whatever. If there was an issue, this is an opportunity for me to say it, you know, because she's receptive. You know, neither one of us are, you know, bothered about anything. We kind of come into the table to address stuff. So yeah.
That's good. Mm-hmm. Let me see. How did you know that I was the one for you?
Well,
lean in on this one.
Well, I mean, you know, I don't think it takes a man. If a man has done the work and he's ready, it doesn't take a man a long time. They know, you know, they usually know. So yeah, you know, first time I saw you, I like, oh, she's beautiful, you know, cool. Then we hung out at the wedding reception. We went to dinner after the wedding reception. Skipped a day, met again for brunch that Saturday. Stayed in them people restaurant from 11 to about 3:30, and it to the point where they kept coming by and offering the drinks because they were like trying to get us out of there. So after that conversation, I knew there was definitely something special there. You know what I'm saying? And so in that conversation, I asked her, I said, hey, are you married to Charlotte? Because she was living in Charlotte, North Carolina at the time. I was living in Charleston, South Carolina. I was like, yo, are you married to Charlotte? Because at that point, see, I was already I was ready to be married at that point because I did a lot of work on myself. For 3 months, from August to November, I was working on myself, trying to become a husband. You know, I hadn't met her yet, but I was putting the work in. So by the time I met her, I was ready. And so when I was like, you know, if you're a Bible believer, it says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So if that's where you stand, all right, you have to find, they already got to be a wife when you find them. You know what I'm saying? You don't take someone and then turn them into one. So they already have to have the mindset of one. And so I saw you had the wife mindset when I met you. So I was like, all right, she got the qualities. Let me get to know her. Let me see if we get along. Let me see if she, you know, how does she get along with my children? You know, does she have children? How am I gonna get along with hers? And, but yeah, I knew that second date, I'm like, all right, something here. And so in a matter of weeks, I was like, let's do it. So, yeah.
Okay. Let's see what other questions we have here. Oh my goodness. How do you navigate supporting each other as business owners? Wow.
I'm gonna let you go first.
These questions are rolling in.
I'm gonna let you go first. So.
How do we navigate supporting each other as business owners? One thing that I totally stand for is not disrespecting or limiting somebody's vision that God has given them.
Okay.
And I think in the beginning when we had the conversation, I think it was the second date, and you gave this long list of things that you do and all of the things that you have your hands in and all of that. And I sat down, I was like, those are the things that God gave you. How dare I come in and try to cut off
Right.
your purpose or the gifts that he's given you to be able to give to the world.
Right.
So then the question for me was, okay, I too am a business owner. How are we going to make this work? Because there are going to be events that may be scheduled on the same day, or we may be in two different states at a different, at the same time. Like, how do we stand and support one another from that angle?
Right.
For me, I like being in the cave. I like being in the background. My businesses don't allow me to do that, but I like being in the background. Mm-hmm. So for me, I didn't mind being in the background, being like, hey, you got this, babe, go do this. I'll stay in and do this from the sideline and cheer you on.
Right.
But then that meant that I was dumbing down the gifts that I was given that I'm supposed to use for this world. Mm-hmm. So we have meetings. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of stuff on our calendar. Mm-hmm. We share calendars where we can keep up and support one another of what's going on. And we try very hard to be there for each other. Like, you had a hair show one day, I had a fashion show the day before. Mm-hmm. So you drove up to Charlotte for the fashion show, and then we went, I don't know where we went
Atlanta.
We went to Atlanta for the hair show. So we make sure that we sit and we communicate what that looks like.
And then so
go ahead.
You about to ask another question?
No, I'm gonna let you take over.
What it looks like she said, she's a calendar master. You know what I'm saying? I learned that from her. I'm not the calendar master in this equation. She's the calendar master. Now, her calendar would give me anxiety. It's just colors everywhere. It's just colors. Red, blue, pink, yellow, color. I'm like, man, that give me anxiety looking at that. I don't even like looking at her calendar. So she shares the calendar with me. My calendar is not as colorful, so it does not give me anxiety. But we have meetings. We talk about it every week. Hey, what do you have going on this week? I know we got to go to North Carolina here. We got to go to Hilton Head here. We got to go here, and we'll work our stuff around. She'll be like, hey, well, I got this on the calendar, so I won't schedule anything when she has something. Yeah. Or we'll try to work it out to where we can do both things. But I try to be where she is and she try to be where I'm at.
Yep,
we try our best to be with each other.
Yeah, because we go together.
Yeah, we go together. Real good.
Right.
Real good.
That's
right. Yeah. Okay.
Do you all have a collective plan for entrepreneurship?
A collective plan?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back to that first thing because I left something out I meant to say, and then I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay.
When it comes to supporting your spouse in the thing, just kind of sit back, listen, find out what it is that they want to become, what it is they want to do, and help them pursue that thing. If they want to do it, how can I help them turn this into something tangible, something you can touch, something you can see, something that produces fruit. So she has a sewing company. She's a therapist. Those are two of the things she's involved in. And so I saw, it was some certification she wanted to get. I encouraged her, try to create space. I tried to create a space where she could become that. Because it was already in her. I just had to create space for her to become the thing that's already inside of her. So that's kind of how I do. I try to encourage without necessarily pushing, but encourage, because I used to push and I realized that she doesn't like to be pushed, but encouraging she can deal with. So I'm like, all right, find out how to walk this walk. And
what happened with that push incident?
You said that's stress. I said that's not stress.
I was like, So one thing about you, so we're on two totally different. You can wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. As soon as your eyes open, it's okay. So I got to do this, and I don't want to talk until 10. I got to process everything. I have to process. What did I dream last night? What happened with that? What is this download? What is this? I got to process. And you're, which causes angst for me.
Yeah.
So this was one morning.
Yeah.
And he just woke up and he was like, oh, you can do this. And I was like, babe, wait a minute. That's traumatic for me right now. That's too much. That's too much. And you said, what'd you say to me?
I don't see no trauma in that. What? I don't see it. And you really meant, I was like, you know what though? Yeah, you're right. I can't tell you how to feel. Maybe you feel that it's stress or trauma, then I guess it is. So let's figure out how to dance.
Right. Yeah. And then later on that evening, something happened and I was like, okay, I'm ready now.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go now. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was good. Okay, so what was that question?
Business collective?
Yeah, do you all have a collective plan for entrepreneurship?
We do. We do have a collective plan. Basically for us, leave the world a better place than how we found it. Leave our industries, a better place than we found it. Try to impact lives, help people, create job opportunities, career opportunities for people. Leave a legacy for our family, children's children, and all the generations after that. So it's a whole lot, but that's me just kind of putting it in a pretty little box, putting the bow on it. I look at families like the Hiltons, the Marriott family, these names that you see on hotels, those are family names. So they created something that outlived them, the person that founded it.
Yeah.
Right? So Conrad Hilton Sr. is gone. We on like the third or the fourth generation of them. And so same thing with the Marriott family and a lot of these other places. So for us, we have to think about definitely more than just this weekend or more than us.
For sure.
We got to think about generations after us.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many more questions you want me to do?
I think about 2 more to be good.
Okay. How is your marriage also a ministry?
You want to start and I'll finish, or you want me to start and you finish? How you want to go?
I'm gonna have to think on that one. You go ahead.
All right, I can go. I got that. That's easy. I light work for me. All right, it's light work. So, in a nutshell, it's a ministry because your spouse is your first ministry. That's the first ministry you have. And so a lot of people get it twisted and they take the calling outside of the home. They put that before the calling inside of the home. So if you're a husband, you're supposed to be the priest of your home, the family's covering, all of these things, provider, all of these things, protector, et cetera, et cetera. But you gotta know how to dwell with your wife according to understanding. You gotta know what works, what doesn't work. So that's your first ministry, is making sure she's good. And if there's children involved, making sure they good. And then, then from there, it can be a ministry to people outside of the house after that. So now how I treat her behind closed doors, as well as how I treat her, in public, is a ministry. You know what I'm saying? Because that's showing people, that marriage can be a beautiful thing. You know what I'm saying? So even this podcast, that was the whole purpose of this podcast. This is a ministry aspect of it. Without necessarily beating people across the head with a Bible, it's still a ministry. You know what I'm saying? So it's a ministry of showing people it can be done. It can be done well. It can be fun. You just have to make that decision. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Okay. For me, all of the things that you said, and in addition to, for me, like when you were talking about how, and I won't say push, but how you always put some encouragement behind me. It's like, you gonna do it. Like, you gonna show up with it. One of the things for me as the wife, what I have learned for the ministry, and this is two different things I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
The first one is marriage has kept me in a stronger relationship with God, and to have my ear closer to Him, to know how to work with you.
Okay.
You know, or know, okay, this is not the time to bring this up, or this is not the time to, okay, yeah, he's stressed right here, so I need to cover him here. Or to be able to see things beyond what you may see when it comes to your businesses and stuff, to be like, okay, that one right there don't mean him no good. That one right there is not even for the vision. You know, those type things, to be a protector, if you will, from a praying perspective. For me, like, it's built me to be on my knees more, to cover you more.
Oh, that's good.
Right?
That's good.
The second part for me is when we're able to have a testimony of where we've come from and the relationships that we were in before.
Right.
And how, and I mean, I've shared this with women before, and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened for you. And I'm like, me either. And I'm sure we'll share that one day. But to see where I've been, and to be able to testify and tell other women that this too can happen for you.
Right.
Or just other couples, this too can happen for you. Just because it didn't work out the first time doesn't mean that it won't work the second time.
That's true.
You know what I mean? And to be able to share that. Somebody had asked me one time, they was like, well, how's married life? And I don't know if it was the answer they were looking for or not, because I had to sit and think about it. And I said, you know, I have no complaints about married life. I love my life. And I think there's plenty of times you and I just sit and look at each other and be like, man, that's pretty good. Like, I really like you. You know, yeah. But to be able to be myself and be accepted as me, yeah, but still be able to accept you and allow and have that atmosphere, or to embrace that atmosphere where both of us can still be accepted but come together as one. Like, who wouldn't want to do that?
That's real.
Right? Or the fact that before you leave the house every morning, we're, like, no joke, we're covering each other in prayer.
That's true. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So for me, I feel like it's a ministry daily, for the public, but mostly for us on the inside. Like the Proverbs 31 woman, I know everybody gets tired of hearing that, but to be able to, when you go out in the streets, for people to say, oh, he got a good wife at home, that's still ministry. Or for me to go and they say, oh, she got a good husband, that's still ministry. Not for other people to covet what we have. Right. You know, I hate when people be like, ooh, couples goals. No, you don't want what other people got, because you don't know the hell they go through in order to have what they have. That's true. You want what's for you. Right. So not for anybody to covet what we have, but for them to say, okay, if God had grace and mercy on Rob, or if God had grace and mercy on Viva, right? And for whatever it is that they encountered or went through in their past, and he loved them enough and had grace and mercy for them to put them together, that's right, then he could do it for me too. That's it. So that's how I look at that one.
I like that.
All right, so you got one more?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
Yeah, what we got?
Oh my goodness, look at all these questions.
Okay.
Great.
That is a paragraph. Oh my God.
We're gonna have to do some of the, okay, so which one? I'm gonna let you pick one out of those.
Correct. All right, let's see where we go.
The questions are coming in. So then what we'll do, I guess, is make sure that we address some of the other questions in the other podcast.
Yeah. We're gonna have to touch this a lot. So I definitely, and I actually want to answer all of these, but not right now. So yeah, we're gonna do a real nice Q&A on the next one. Cause this.
Maybe we should just do a Q&A one day. Just straight Q&A.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do a Q&A.
Yeah.
Man, cause I really want to touch all this, but I know this right here, this is about 4 podcasts right here. So let me pick one. All right. Let's see. What? Not that. All right. Not that. All right. Okay. What do you see? Which one? All right. Let's talk about it. Number 9. All right. How do you maintain intimacy and keep the romance alive in your marriage? This is good. So let's talk about it. All right. Brothers, young and old, if you are in your 20s, see, men usually hit their sexual peak in their 20s to their early 30s, right? Women hit their sexual peak in their 40s going on up into the 50s, right? So you want it when you're 20, 24, 21, and all those age, you a little jackrabbit. But by the time you get to your 40s and 50s and, if your testosterone isn't quite testosteroning anymore or anything of that nature, you might not be where your spouse is. So now, thankfully for me, I still have drive. I have drive, but she has more than me. I'm just gonna keep it a buck. She got more than me. So you gotta communicate. Now, it's not for a lack of wanting. So we had a conversation. You gotta communicate again. So you gotta communicate. All right, how often do you desire to be intimate with, as a couple? So one person might be like, oh, I'm cool with, one person might be cool with once a week. Another person might be like, I need 3 times a week. Another person might say, I need every day. So you got to figure out, all right, what does your spouse want? What do you want? And where is the happy medium? Where's the compromise in that? Right. You know what I'm saying? So we agreed on what we agreed on, you know what I'm saying? And I'm, and I make sure I say, all right, and I tell her, I say, all right, we got our number in. So I'm gonna make sure we get at least that, So I sometimes we get extra, but let me make sure I answered this properly. So how do you maintain? So that's the intimacy part. Communicating how often to, is it desired from both people, and making sure nobody is wanting. Nobody is feeling neglected from intimacy. And it doesn't necessarily mean sex, but it could just be intimacy. It could just be holding hands, hugging, that type thing. And it can mean sex as well, right? So that's the intimacy part. So communicating that, agreeing, and then walking it out. Because when I was younger, I felt like, all right, because I literally wanted to plan stuff out. Like, all right, this day, that day, this day, that day, this day. And then, then it's like, it's robotic. So you don't want to be robotic. It doesn't have to be robotic, but at the same time, y'all should have like, all right, well, here are my minimums. This is what I need to be full. Your person's love language, needs to be full. So figure out what that is as a couple. Keep the romance alive in your marriage. How do we do that? We do a minimum of 1 date night a week. Sometimes we fit a second one in, but definitely at least 1 date night per week works for us. But we're at a chapter where our children are adults.
Exactly.
So we don't have to put anybody on a bus or get anybody off of a school bus. So we got the freedom to, we might eat out 3 times in a week. Other weeks we cook all week and we eat out once a week. So, but we're gonna get that at least 1 date night in, where we actually leave the house and go do something, as a couple. So that keeps the romance alive. The 5 love languages, is a big thing. Finding out what your spouse's love language are. You have 5 of them, they say. 2 primaries, and then the 3 secondary ones. Which can change based on the season. Remember, I told you the person evolves every 3 years or so. So the top 2 now might not be the top 2 later. So, finding out what's important. So does this person, do they need gifts? Do they need words of affirmation? Do they need physical touch? Do they need quality time? And what was the one I left off?
Say gifts, words of affirmation.
Quality time, physical touch. What did I leave off?
Time. We missing one.
Words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, gifts,
acts of service.
Acts of service. So which one of these things are important? So, for example, if you're not careful, you might love, like I might love her the way I need to be loved, but she don't need that, or she don't even want that. So, you know, you might be buying flowers and she don't like flowers. You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, but she does, but I mean, she might not like them. And now you just got flowers and, you know, she's like, man, I ain't want these flowers, you know what I'm saying? But don't, you know what I'm saying? But you teach people how to love you, so she don't want to tell you not to buy no flowers, because she's like, if I tell this Negro not to buy no flowers, he might not never buy no more flowers again. So, so now communicate, and once you find out what the love languages are, do they need flowers? Do they need to be taken on a date? Whatever it is they need, and then just kind of cater to that to your spouse. So, you know, we do the date nights, we do the flowers. I've learned to listen to what she says. What she does, what I notice about her is she'll hear me say I want something, or I need this, or she'll see that I need something, or that I'm always grabbing her phone stand or her something, or her charger or something, and she'll buy me one. Cause, you know what I'm saying? Cause she like, stop using my stuff. But that's her. That's one of the things she does to be romantic, to make sure I have what I need, you know, and what I want, you know, even if I won't ask for it. So what you got that I didn't touch on in that?
We play a lot of games. We and even though I have to say this, even though it's one day out of the week, we really do more dating because we're together all the time.
Yeah.
Like all the time. So we at the gym together when I feel like getting them to go. We're eating breakfast together. We're traveling together. Like we're doing everything together.
Yeah.
So like when we went to Atlanta, we didn't even plan that. Like we're in Atlanta and wound up in a restaurant watching the fight. It was like, oh, this is pretty dope. We on a date. And then it wasn't anything that was planned.
No.
You know, so we do a lot of stuff. But I think one of the things of, you know, them little text messages, them little phone calls, little letters, you know, things like of that nature. You know, depending, like he said, depending on what the love language is, just making sure that you tap into whatever their love language is. And we kind of do that consistently.
Got a good one. So I'm glad, because I wasn't even thinking about that until she said it. Another way we keep the romance alive in our marriage is we hired a housekeeper.
Yes, we did.
We hired a housekeeper.
Love
you know
her
what I'm
dearly.
saying? And even though my wife works from home, you know, a lot of people be like, well, if you can make a certain amount of money so your wife don't have to work, then does she inherit a full-time job as a housekeeper and a cook and everything else? You know what I'm saying? So that's not why you doing it. You know, you say, okay, well, what can I take off of her plate to make her life easier?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that she will have the energy and the ability to even want to, you know, be romantic, be intimate, do these things.
Yeah.
Cause I mean, she never turned me down for any intimacy prior to the housekeeper. You know what I'm saying? So that was never an issue. But I'm just saying, you know, what can I do to make her life easier? And so for me, remember I said, create job opportunities for other people. So bam, now you hired somebody. And so you helping, you supporting their business. So, and you getting the service that you need. Because let me tell you, when they come through here,
make me rethink my whole life.
Yeah. So, you know, that creating that space for her or for your spouse will allow them to be free to do other things, focus on other things, focus on you when you on her. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I'm a busy guy, so I don't have time to wash cars, so I take the car to the car wash. But I'm literally about to get someone to come to the house and just start washing the cars, because I don't have time. So whether I'm doing something else, like we filming right now, we could have had dude washing the car. You know what I'm saying? Because it's something I learned in business. What's the best use of your time? And the best use of my time is not being outside washing the car, nor is the best use of her time being in here trying to clean this house. So if you can afford to do it, do it.
I think one of the other things, and boy, we gonna get some pushback on this one.
What's that?
We have never, and I think that was an agreement we had in the beginning when we sat and had conversation.
All right, what's that?
We have never denied one another. Ever.
No, never.
Ever.
Never.
Ever.
Never.
We've never denied one another.
Mm-mm.
Like, I wish you would tell me no. What you mean? What you mean? No.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's the thing, that is a stigma in the community about marriage. And that goes beyond black. That's everybody. That's black, white, any nationality I know of. That's usually a conversation amongst men, is how when they got married, the sex went downhill as far as the frequency of it. Not the act, but the frequency or how often, out the door. And I think it's kind of like, what season is the woman in? What season is the man in? Yeah. Are you parents? Do you have infants?
Smaller kids.
Screaming babies?
Yeah.
Or, us, our children are adults. So we don't have them interruptions. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to feed nobody. We don't have to do none of that stuff. We just really can focus on ourselves and our career, and of course on God. But, I've never denied her, you know what I'm saying? No matter how, if I'm tired, no matter whatever the case would be, I enjoy my wife, so I'm not gonna be like, no, nah, we always got energy, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, so no, we've never denied each other. She never denied me, I never denied her, because, that's important. I think it, from a scientific standpoint and from a spiritual standpoint, it brings you closer together. The act of the intimacy brings you closer together, helps you stay full, so, or empty, and or empty. So, so, all right, you got any more? We got room for one more?
Yeah, we can. Okay, so you gonna choose one?
I chose that one.
Okay, so you want me to choose one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. So what do you think?
What role do friends and family, or
whichever one?
Friends and family.
You want to do the friends and family one?
Let's see. What? We did that one already. Wow. Let's do this one. What advice would you give newlyweds or couples preparing for marriage? You want to do that one?
Ooh.
Let's do that one.
Okay.
That's our last one.
Okay, so that's our last one. All right, so we're going to start with me?
Yeah, you go ahead. Start.
Okay, so let me look at this question again because I'm visual. What advice would you give newlyweds or couples preparing for marriage? So before I said yes to Rob, I had this list. You about to roll his eyes about this list. I'm not gonna say most women. Some women, I hear women say, make a list of what type of man you want. All these characteristics that you want from this man, right? And I'm looking at this list, and I'm like, dang, this list is kind of the same characteristics of who I was with before. That didn't work. So maybe I need to look at this again. So one of the things that we did that I would really recommend is, and you said this before, is couples therapy. So not only did we have a couples therapist, we had our own individual therapist as well. Before I met Rob, I was in therapy for some years, from my past divorce.
Right.
So I was in therapy for some years, just working on myself. And before getting into a marriage, I really believe that those hard conversations need to be had. And one of the things that I appreciated about you is the night of the wedding, we sat and talked for hours of the wedding.
Yeah.
And
talk about the wedding we met at?
The wedding we met at.
Okay.
Yeah, not our wedding. The wedding we met at. We sat and talked for hours. Like, you just put a whole bunch of stuff out there. Yeah, put so much stuff out there. I was sitting there like, okay, that's a lot. Like, went real deep, real early. And I respect that. And I guess in your mind, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it was, okay, it's no need for me to waste my time. So let me go ahead and put all this out here right now. Yeah. And if it's something you can accept, then fine. If it's something you can't, Yeah. And then our second date, it was sort of the same thing. Like, we were just like going back and forth. We were asking the questions. We were being very transparent and honest. Throughout the time that we dated, that whole courtship, it was just straight honesty. Yeah. I mean, there was no question that could not be asked. And there were times like, okay, I have a question. Okay, I have a question. And we would ask the question, and we would, I mean, our past is our past. It's not like, so we were honest with it. And I think that was something that was very beneficial, which was helpful, because now, that we're together and we're married, it's not like there's anything that's swept up under the rug that can come up and be like a slap in the face. Right. It's like, I already know. So, we've experienced somebody saying something, blah, 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 and I'm looking like, I knew that. Like, what you doing? Yeah. That stops the enemy in the outer world from being able to come in and cause a wedge in between the union. Yeah. One of the other things that I would really, really recommend is stop having everybody in your business. Know your people, know your tribe. And we know who's for you and who's not. I mean, if you're going to be honest, and you see the red flags, you know who's for you and you know who's not. Right. Right. So making sure that you surround yourself with other like-minded couples, other like-minded people who honor the covenant of marriage. I ain't talking about, I have some girlfriends out there be like, girl, I'm going to cheat on him. He going to cheat on me. And this is what we going to do. No judgment. If that works for you, that works for you, boo, but that don't work over here. So to have those people that's going to hold you accountable early in, before the marriage. One of the things that I loved about our wedding is we had 13 couples there. And we chose the 13 couples by, okay, we know that these people are going to hold us accountable. So going into the marriage, and as a newlywed, who was that? I think that was Priscilla Shiren, her husband, was talking about that. Having a couple that you're willing to be vulnerable with, and that you're willing to listen to, who shares and taps the same visions that you have pertaining to your marriage. Right. And I think we have that.
Yeah, we do. We do. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, you agree?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Let me make sure I answered all that before we go.
I got something. I'm going to touch on it too now.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to touch it too. So, things to keep, if your spouse has parents, whatever stays in your household needs to stay in your household. You cannot go to your parents with,
Good. He done pissed me off.
Yeah, we beefing over here, so on and so forth. You can't do that, because what happens is, once me and her get back on good terms, when we go to Thanksgiving dinner, everybody at the house looking at her sideways, or looking at me sideways. Yeah. Because I said she did this, she said that, she did this, and whatever, and now they are still holding a grudge, and me and her, we good. And so now we there, and she's feeling uncomfortable, or if it was me, I'm feeling uncomfortable. So definitely you need to find a tribe that is not your mother and father and talk to them about whatever it is. Have that small circle of men. If it's, if you a guy, women if you a woman, have that tribe of people, and then have those couples that you can talk to, that granted, nobody's perfect, but at least they're making a conscious effort to love their spouse, the right way. Learn from those people. Communicate. Be transparent about money. Be transparent about credit.
Yep.
Be transparent about all these things so nothing is a surprise later. You know what I'm saying? Hey, if you got a 450, say that. You know what I'm saying? And let them decide, hey, can you deal with the fact that he came into it with a 450?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or he might have a 720, whatever. But, can you deal with that fact? And then are they willing to change? Are they willing to put an effort into fixing it? You know what I'm saying? Because some people have it, but they don't want to stay there. And then other people, they cool with staying there. So then you got to decide, is that something you can live with? So talk about money, finances, parental styles, how do you parent?
Yep.
Childhood. Was the person the only child? You know what I'm saying? Were they forced to become an adult early? You know what I'm saying? Did they have to raise little brothers and little sisters at a young age? Because now that's going to kind of let you know when you see certain things arise in the marriage now, it's because this person had to be an adult when they was 10. Or, you know what I'm saying? Or they're only child, so they don't know how to share. Or, it could be various things, but you can usually take it and draw it back. The things you see now, you can draw back to something that happened in their childhood. You can draw it back. And so I think those are some things.
I have another one.
All right, what else?
A family vision.
Vision for the family.
Yep. Like what does this marriage look like to you? What does a healthy marriage look like for you? Like we were talking about, even when we were talking about intimacy and all that. What are your expectations with that? What are the expectations with saving money? Like having those real deep, transparent conversations. There's no need to lie about it because it's going to come out, right?
Lie about it.
So just having those real honest conversations. And I mean, first and foremost, we forgot the main thing.
What was that?
First and foremost, putting God first and seeking God to see if that is even your mate.
Yeah, that's important.
Right, because you might be getting a counterfeit. So just making sure that person is your mate. One of the things too, and I'm just gonna be honest, this is my ex-law enforcement coming. Checking them criminal backgrounds.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right. If you're going in this, like, if this is your second time, this is your third time, you have kids or whatever, like, checking that and making sure, that you're in a safe environment.
Yeah.
That's important. That's important.
Mm-hmm.
Finding out their relationship, if they have children, what's their relationship with their children? What's their relationship with their parents? How do they treat other people? Their character. Does their character line up with what is required in the Bible? Can this person carry you? Can you carry this person? All of those things.
And can you deal with that person in all four seasons? Whether they're happy, sad, angry. You do need to see them angry. Now, she's seen me angry, but my anger was not directed at her.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you don't necessarily have to be like, well, I'm going to make him mad so I can see how he going to act. No, that's not what we're saying. But you do need to see them. And I'm sure something happened. It was something that happened in at work that had me on 10.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? But she got to see me on 10. So she was like, okay, but he not crazy on 10. You still can talk him down. So, so I think that's good.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us.
Yes.
On this first episode, and we are looking forward to seeing you. Which YouTube channel are we gonna put this on? Is this going on yours? Is it going on mine?
I guess it's gonna go on both. Can it go on both?
Yeah, I think it can go on both then. So
yeah.
So is it gonna go on the Viva's Closet or the?
Whichever one you want.
All right, it'll be on the lower third. so it'll be on the lower third, whichever channel is going on. It'll be in the lower third. So we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Real soon.
All right.
Bye.